Yep.
So I went all over the place. I forgot
Okay.
I wanted to say. So I watched. I've been able to watch a couple playoff games in the NHL.
Yep.
Great. The intensity is incredible. The fans are nuts. It's really good to see. But uh, one thing I was going to say is one of my favorite players, and it's probably not anybody that's listening's favorite player, is Alex Killorn
Oh
for
yeah.
the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Me and Charlie were talking about him last night. I said, "Look at this guy." So he
Great.
finished the game the other night. This is what I love about him. He can play fourth, third, second, or first line.
You can.
He can score. He can
Crash
trash.
and
He
bang.
can make plays. He can do anything that you need him to do. Harvard graduate, by the way, and so he's got a brain. So maybe that's hockey IQ there. Transfers into hockey. But what I like about him is you can move him up and down the lineup, and he just does well. So when they beat out Toronto the other night, you look at the 6-on-5. Toronto pulled their goalie. Guess who's on the ice? Killorn. Guess who made the absolute last play of the game off his stick and out?
Yeah.
Like so responsible, right? So I think a lot of the kids that when we're talking about being a hockey player, like if you're going to look at a complete game, I think that would be more of a guy that you would like to emulate your game off after. Is it like a guy like Alex Killorn, rather than looking at the Connor McDavids and the high end guys? Now, it's not to say don't try to be like those guys, but we're looking at who plays a really complete game that can go up and down the lineup, who's very valuable, that can play for a long time. That would be a guy that I would say watch. So number 17 on the Tampa Bay Lightning, Alex Killorn, real good hockey player. So that's one. And the other thing I wanted to say is I enjoyed watching last night because it was Florida-Tampa, the Battle of Florida. And I've got two defensemen that I've trained extensively. That would be Alex Killorn. There's Aaron Ekblad and Mikhail Sergachev. So it was nice to watch that intense battle last night with both of them. Both of them are fantastic. Of course, you look at Hedman. You got there's 3D that are off the charts good. Off the charts good.
Same game. Yeah.
Off the charts good. I was just watching Aaron last night. I'm going to talk about a play that Killorn pulled on him, though, after. Pulled his pants down, man.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, not really, but I'm going to talk about the hockey sense of that after. But I was watching Aaron out there and just really, like, you'll never accuse him of being a beautiful skater. That's never going to happen. But all the things that he does, like the nice little sauce pass, that's necessary, though. The heads-up plays, just finding shooting lanes, the good stick on puck, like you're coming down on this guy and his stick is in your way. Unbelievable. And then, like I would say, Sergey's like the next level down, but like real good, a little bit more physical. And then, anyways, I just wanted to say that. So it was good watching those two last night. I'm going to enjoy this series because there's two guys that I'm very familiar with. Worked with Sergachev for 56 days in a row when he first came to Canada.
I remember I was here.
Yeah. He says the one thing that he enjoyed working with me is I showed him how to do a tricky shot. One that he uses, like it's off the blue line, inside legs thing. And then it's nice watching Aaron just apply so many things that we've done together. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. It's I don't sit there as of course I want them both to do well, but it's like I just watch and I go, okay, this is nice to see now the finished product.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Aaron doesn't come home anymore. It's been 2 years.
Yeah,
but still talk to him a little bit here and there. Don't like to bug him, but anyways, it was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it plays into. We'll talk about it a little bit later, is applying stuff to the game. How we say all the time, like you do your skill work, you do your training, and then you do it in the game.
Yeah.
And these are like the masters of doing it in the game. That's why they're the NHL guys. Because I found when I used to train with a lot of these guys when we would skate in the summertime, one thing I would notice is any isolated skill that any of us have, everyone's kind of in the ballpark.
Yep.
So when you get on the ice and it's like, if we're doing a stick handling drill where it's like just basics, like go around the cones or whatever, or a shooting drill, like everyone has a really good shot.
Yeah.
Everyone can stick handle well. Some guys a little bit more than others, but everyone's in the same realm of what they can do.
You're good and above.
Yeah, right? Everyone's a decent skater.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of schlups out there. It's all guys that are good. And I remember when I'd be out there with these guys, it was like, my skill level's in the ballpark of these guys.
Yeah.
But it's when you put them in the game, it's like that is where the difference is, because they can take all of those things and appropriately apply it to whatever the game situation is.
Yeah.
And that's what gets us into that topic of the hockey IQ stuff. Because for me, we were talking about it a bit yesterday, and you have so much good stuff to say about it. And I asked you, I was like, well, if you had to give it one definition, like if you had to knock it down to one sentence, like how do you define what hockey IQ is? And it's a really hard thing to define. And to me, the way that I would do that, if I had to smush it into one sentence, it would just be the ability to make the right decision on not just good decisions, but the right decision. So when in certain situations, you just know when to make the play. You just know when to hang on to it for an extra second. You just know when to shoot it instead of pass it. Like those types of decisions in the actual game that make you effective as a player. Some guys just have that like right away from when they're young. And I wanted you to talk about why did you say at the start, well, when we were talking, like you either have it or you don't kind of thing is what makes this tricky. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, why is that the initial thought about it?
I think, it's a good question. Because it just seems like you just have it or you don't. That's what it just seems like. I just talked to O-Dog. He goes, oh, you're talking about hockey IQ. He goes, is that something that you just get it or you don't? And I go, yeah.
But for people that aren't hockey,
yeah.
When you say you just get it or you don't, or you just have it or you don't, have what? Like, what do you have?
The sense of making plays. Yeah. The sense of like, this is what needs to be done. And I mean, it changes under different circumstances. Yeah. But there's still the sense of what needs to be done. Like a very simple example. If I'm going to, let's say not even body check, we're just talking checking, but let's say it's body checking that could be included. Like it's just being on the right side of the puck so you can't escape and not be in a good spot. Or it's just when you see a play that is to me, the most common sense play, someone's ahead of you in a better position. There should be no hesitation. Should be a play that moves, a play that should happen. To me, that's just, it should be there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so like for me, it's simple. Now, having said that, if you said computers, how you can run a computer and stuff, you must look, I have no hockey sense when it comes to computers.
Right.
Zero. Like any of this stuff, like it's just, well, why is that? It's probably because I didn't put any time in. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest thing. So the other thing about hockey sense is why I think it's hard to get is because you have to have a desire. You know what I mean? Like, so some kids just play. And they without studying the game, and I think that's a big thing. Is like you have to have a desire to want to get hockey sense, or that's just to me. Just I want to learn the game. I want to be good at it.
Right.
There's I've seen kids come up through the ranks. One particular player I'm thinking about. It's like if I was to rate his hockey sense, it would have been 0, maybe 1. Like so, you play a lot of years. So how did he make the team? Well, he worked real hard. Okay, so he worked real hard, but everything he did, nothing else happened. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So he'd have the puck, and it'd be like the same thing every single time, hard as he can go, and then end up with the same result every single time. So to me, there wasn't any analysis of like, okay, why when I have the puck on my stick, why doesn't anything ever happen? Yeah. Like you look at your roots, look at your patterns. Like, why do I end up in this exact same place every single time? Like after 6 years, you think that would be a question. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then. It's the same on the back checking part. Be like work his butt off, get back. But a lot of the times it'd be back in the wrong spot or over back check. So it's like, okay, this isn't necessarily working. So to me, does that kid learn hockey, have any hockey sense, or can you teach it? I don't know.
Right.
Because I think that that intrinsic desire to want to learn makes your hockey sense or your hockey IQ go up. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And maybe another parallel that I'll draw for people to kind of understand is before you start to get into your stuff is an easy one is math class. Yeah. There's some kids that they just get math concepts. Like you can explain something to them once and it's just like, yep, got it. Makes total sense. Yeah. Perfect. Whereas a lot of other kids, they need it 2, 3, 4 times. And a lot of kids, it doesn't matter what you do. They just cannot grasp what some of the concepts are. Yeah. And you can make that parallel with hockey as well. So I remember that happening in school all the time. And that might be something that's really relatable or understandable for any kid or any parent. So if you remember how you were sitting in math class, did you just get math? Like, did you just get it?
Are you asking me the question?
No, just to anyone. But you too, though. Did you just get it? Or
no, I didn't get it.
And I was a kid.
The basics, yeah. Yeah. Like I could put 4 quarters together. I know I got a buck.
Right. But for any, like, especially more advanced stuff, I would get it, like, right away. If somebody explained it once, clearly, I would get it, might have a question or two, and then I would get it. Like, no question. Other kids, no. And so for parents and kids that are listening, you can ask yourself that. Did you just get it when you sat in math class? Were you one of those kids, or were you one of the kids that had to work or really struggled, or maybe you never got it? You know, so, and you can apply that exact same thing to anything, but hockey, in the case that we're talking about, it's the exact same thing. Some kids, just from a young age, they see the guy that's open. They know to make the play. They know how to tripod pass. They know how to check the guy coming over their shoulder. They know how to do all these little things that make the game easy for them or easier for them, you know? And that doesn't mean there aren't things you can do to work on it. And that doesn't mean that there aren't things that you can do to improve it. But this was kind of our discussion about it yesterday. It's even if you do all this work, will you be as good as the kid that just gets math? And maybe you will, maybe you won't. Right. Maybe at some point that extra work overtakes the other guy's ability to just understand things easily. But I think that's a good analogy that I'm going to leave with, is that the idea of math class. You know, if you can work as much as you want at it, will you ever be as good as the kid that's really good at math? Yeah. Maybe, maybe not. But that's kind of the idea of how we're going to frame it as you start to talk about what you're going to talk about here.